Good morning, everyone. My name is Julian Bartlett, and it is the 1st of July. Happy July, and also happy Flag Day in the Bahamas. So I'm wearing a little pink. Pink still represent pink sand in Eleuthera or the flamingos that represent us, but it is Flag Day. And as you can tell, I always have my flag. I'm always representing my country, the Bahamas. All right? So I just wanted to say that quickly. Now, last week, Friday, I spoke to the fact that we opened up our grand central center under the COI, and it was a grand event. I was so proud to be a part of the COI. I'm so proud of what we are doing as Bahamians in our country. We're standing up for law and order. We're standing up for correcting the incorrections that's going on in our country. And I'm going to say it like that. There's so much going on. But today is Flag Day. And last Saturday, we opened our grand national headquarters under the COI. And that's a wonderful thing to smile about. Whereas I may not have a lot of things I want to smile about, I still have to remain balanced and centered in that. We have a great country. Unfortunately, our great country couldn't be at its worst turning point right now. It's a great country. It's a beautiful place. But right now, it's not where it needs to be. We have politicians who believe that they are God of the Bahamas and they cannot do no wrong. I've never seen politicians this bad. I've never seen them act so insubordinate to the laws. What laws am I talking about? Just like how we're having Flag Day, and that's a day to be proud. Yes, it's summer and it's hot. These are our laws. It's the constitutional laws of the Bahamas. It's the Bahamian Constitution. And right now, the said people who's supposed to be in charge of protecting us and taking care of our culture and protecting our borders and protecting our economy is failing us. And that's the sad part, that we have. And so, last Friday, I spoke about the grand opening and all the things that ails us. And I am back to continue. Now, I have some things I need to correct this morning on our Constitution. That's one of the things I'm going to be speaking to. The next is, I'm going to tell you how far behind we are in our country. And remember we said maybe 3 years ago, like, we got to fight for the Bahamas. We got to fight for the Bahamians because Bahamians want to come back home. Well, guess what? Bahamians are returning to a devastating shock. And it's like a cycle just keep going around and around and around. Remember many years ago in 2019, I write a letter to the Prime Minister. Now in 2025, the Bahamians who want to return back to their home are writing letters to the same people we wrote letters to under the same system. And guess what? I think they think it's summer break for them too. And they've arrived and the country is doing great. So they could take off during the summer. They ain't got to worry about it. They could take off like all the children in school because we have this perfect system. Well, the Bahamians are returning back home, right? And to their little shock. And they're doing everything that they're supposed to do. Write letters, be respectful, request what's needed in the Bahamas. And when they come back, they could bring in their expertise. And guess what? It's summer, the door is shut. What is summer not? The door is always shut when it comes to the Bahamian people. They do everything to be professional. They write the letters to ministers and say, this is the problem. Some even say, this is the problem, but here I come and I bring the solution. And guess what happens? It falls on deaf ear. No one in Parliament is listening. Wonder why? Because they're busy campaigning to secure the spot to maintain the status quo. In June, now it is July 1st, right? In June, a Bahamian, well-educated Bahamian, made approach to the government of the Bahamas, requesting an audience with them with regards to something that's very important to us all, education. They are ready to return home. Let me just keep saying that so you can understand where I'm going with this. I want to read this letter first before I make the correction in the Constitution that I read to inform you where our Constitution is as it relates to persons who actually were born after the 9th of July, 1973. I'll correct that later. But I thought, because I wanted to come on Friday and speak to this letter that was sent to with the concerns of for the education department that's under the PLP leadership under Glennis Hannah Martin. Listen here. We shouldn't have to be doing this. But I need you to understand our Bahamians are coming home highly educated, informing the government, which you're supposed to do, because, you know, you can come back for it as much as you want, that we have the answer, and we would like to be a part of the diaspora of Bahamians who concern the direction in which education is going. Yeah. Now, I'm going to read you a letter. I'm going to try to be as quiet as possible, so I just read the letter straight out. But of course, I have to let you know who the letter was sent to, when it was sent, and was there any response to this letter. And I'm going to speak to that after I read the letter. And I'm hoping I can stick to script and just read it as it is, okay? So again, to all the Bahamians in the Bahamas, and this is so ideal because we just opened our national headquarters in Nassau, right? And it's draped with all the beautiful Bahamian flags. And today, this happened on Saturday, and today is Bahamian Flag Day. You should see the building. I need you to go. If you're listening to this, please share this information. Go and see our COI national headquarters. It's not so far from, where is it again? On West Bay Street in Chippingham. West Bay Street and Chippingham Road. I mean, it's light up like a big Christmas tree for the month of July. And our independence is coming up like on the 10th. This is perfect. And it's decorated with our Bahamian flag. And it so happened that it's Bahamian Flag Day today. And even if it wasn't Bahamian Flag Day today, I can be celebrating my flag. I got it on the TV up there. I got it behind me. Yes, I'm wearing a little pink, just for a little contrast, okay? So here I'm going to read a letter that was sent to the Minister of Education, Miss Glennis Hannah Martin, a lady who's been in this field of politics maybe before I was born. So she got more seniority in the PLP than Jesus got in the PLP. So if anybody can make decisions, she held many different positions as a PLP in that political party. So she should know how to receive advice. Shouldn't be too uppity that she cannot receive help, because we know our schools are below standards in the Bahamas. So this letter was dated on the 22nd. See, this is how we write into everybody's face. You know, rest us for summer, rest. Who's going to be resting during the summer? No, you pay these political parties all this money, but they can take a vacation whilst you stay in the Bahamas in the hot sun. Your power's still off, or your power bill's very high. Your school hasn't been fixed since the last semester, which is last September, and education is still a short, and the children are fighting left and right in school. And the police have no control in the schools. They ain't got no control in our societies. These are the things you need to look at. These are the things you need to look at and say, I'm going to the poll because, and I'm going to vote COI. Why? Well, them two parties been in power for 50 years in total in the Bahamas. And they can't prepare one school. I'm just talking about the physical part of the school. I'm not even talking about the academic part of the school, which is crazy. And can't do this after 50 years? We're 52. Actually, in July, on July 10th, we will be 53 years old as a country. Bahamians now are leaving America, educated, well-equipped, who's holding positions in the United States under the Education Department, writing to the present leaders in the country of the Bahamas, how and why is it that we cannot improve our product? Now, those persons are saying, I want you to come to the table now. We don't want to wait until September when there may be another hurricane on the dawn in our country. They've been proactively writing the government, preparing to return to the country of origin to improve the governmental structure of education, which is PITS. That's what I want to say. So here we are, June 22nd, 2025, okay? Yeah, it was June, the end of June. No, governments are supposed to respond in more than timely fashion, and they never do. So now we are in their face. We down their throats. They can't even walk in that House of Assembly and they will know that we know their every move and we know they're not being productive in our country. The concerned citizen that wrote this letter is a Bahamian native sister. She is a Bahamian by birth, which I'm going to go speak to because I'll pull up my little pink book, okay? I'm going to speak to that also. She is approaching our government. She should be paying or be paid as a Bahamian citizen of the Bahamas consultation fees. She should be the one on the board. But she's doing the honorable thing and she sent a letter to the Ministry of Education. God give her grace. That's all I have to say. God give her grace. So the subject is concerns regarding the BJCs and the BJCSE requirement for government employee or government employments. Dear Mrs. Hannah Martin, I am writing to express my concern shared by several Bahamians who have pursued higher education abroad and are now seeking to return home to contribute meaningfully to the national development of the Bahamas. There appears to be a growing practice within the Ministry of Education and other ministries of requiring returning professionals with graduate degree asking for the Bahamian Junior Certificate, that's called the BJC, and the Bahamas Junior Certificate Secondary Certificate called the BJCSE. I already thought they were redundant, but anyway, as a prerequisite for the government employment. Is this for the Bahamians only, or and or for foreigners that are hired from other countries? That's the question she's actually asking Minister Gladys Hannah Martin. Many of these individuals have been away for years, having completed advanced studies and acquired valuable skills. These are Bahamians returning, and professional experiences. It is both confusing and discouraging that they are not being asked for these examinations, typically reserved for high school students, especially when these tests are only for Bahamian locally. Okay, so the letter reads on. This policy raises a critical question. What is the purpose of mandating these certificates for individuals whose qualification already exceed the intended level of these assessments? More importantly, in an evolving and competitive global environment, should we not be prioritizing demonstrating skills, professionals, and capabilities and international experience over standardized entry-level tests? So let me just read that again. More importantly, in an evolving and competitive global environment, should we not be prioritizing demonstrated skills, professionals, capability, and international experience over standardized entry-level tests? That's what she's asking. Because the requirement for BGCSEs and BJCs are for the Bahamians in the Bahamas to apply. Those are requirements for certain positions in government. As a Bahamian, as the Bahamas continue to seek economic and human capital development, our national employment policy, especially within the public sector, should reflect a forward-thinking, skill-based approach. Such a shift would not only validate the expertise of returning citizens, but also encourage more highly trained Bahamians to come home and serve. I appreciate your time and consideration on this important policy framework can be implemented moving forward. Signed, an educated, and I wrote this in there, an educated, concerned citizen of the Bahamas. These are Bahamians, okay? These are Bahamians who are actually returning back to his country. It's almost like, from what I read in the letter, we're stuck in a twilight zone. Like we're only catering, not say we're only catering to the local diaspora, but because we are so globally behind the 10 ball with regards to where we are in our country in its education department under government, not the private sector, government. We are centuries behind the global level where education should be, even in government. This is a returning Bahamian concerned citizen asking a valid question. If you're already an educator and you're applying for a position in the education department, but you come with prerequisites and skills that supersede what you already have in place, called the BJCs and the BJCSE. So why is it necessary? Shouldn't experience supersede even that criteria? Are the government looking at these things with an open mind? The government even responding to Bahamians who are citizens of the Bahamas, asking these questions? Are they going to like put this letter off, which was written just recently, and maybe they may answer it September when school reopens? So that means the government departments are closed too? Well, education department is closed. So you're trying to say the minister cannot, in her centuries and decades of being under the PLP, cannot answer her expediently? They're just going to leave it and just, oh, you know, that person isn't important. Forget it. We don't have time to answer her right now because the PLP is in election mode. But shouldn't the PLP be looking at these things and implementing them like that? Why? Election mode, you got to stop everything to campaign against the COI, who's gaining more attractions than you are at this present moment. But you feel that that's never going to happen. Just like you feel as if our voice wouldn't have been the one voice in the House of Assembly. You thought that was never going to happen. Because you're campaigning to secure your position in the PLP. That's what you're doing right now. But you're not dealing with the issues. And I'm only drawing this letter because it came across my desk. And put it out there in the public domain. But you don't have time to do that, right? Now, these again, let me re-emphasize again and again and again and again. These are Bahamians who were born in the Bahamas, who never gave up their citizenship, but they work abroad. And they're making appeal to the present government, who have all the experience in the world, who could deal with this like that, who could respond to them like that. And this lady hasn't gotten a response yet. Because you know why? The PLP is campaigning to maintain their power and position. Eat some salad on that one right now until I move on. So that's the letter given to the PLP. We're going to see what's going to happen next. Okay? So Bahamian abroad should get a response ASAP. They should get a response faster than any investors who come to town with a pipe dream of building another hotel, which we don't need in Nassau right now. Education is a vital, important component to growing your society. Because right now, the C average is not going to work any further. So I wanted to make some corrections. I think the last live feed I did, I spoke to our Constitution, and it was the Constitution of the Bahamas, 7-1. Now, 7-1 basically reads like this in the bottom line, okay? I don't need to read the whole act out for you. But it speaks to the fact that anyone who was born after the 9th of July, 1973, they are a part of our system. Okay? As simple as that. They are a part of our system. And of course, everything have to be backtracked by a legal document. So that part is, the Bahamians is cringe when they hear that, but it is what it is. 1973 was back then. This is 2025. That's 52 years, but 53 coming in July is our independence celebration. That's the one correction I wanted to make. Because I don't want you to think that I was saying, because I keep reading it and I said, let me go listen to myself, because look like I might have read that wrong. And maybe I might have read it right. Anyone born in the system after July 9th, 1973, they are like citizens of the Bahamas, okay? Now, we do have laws in our country, in our constitution, which secures your Bahamian citizenship. But now you got to be born here, man. And you got to do it right. All right? And they're irrevocable. Whereas, on the other hand, we have people who may have our citizenship. It can still be revoked according to our laws. So I want to make that really clear. I don't want to read these laws per se but I just wanted to cite the laws that pertain to us Bahamians, that in no case, under no circumstances, under no God's earth in the Bahamas, the citizenship can be taken away from you. But persons who apply for certain residencies and work permits and citizenships, if they're not practicing the good, what do you call it, the good practice of a citizen, it can be revoked. I also want to talk about freedom of expression, because what happened on Saturday at our grand opening for our national headquarters in Nassau cannot go undealt with or unspoken about. I'm sorry, because as good citizens of the Bahamas, we have the right to gather, actually to protest and express our views, because we live in a democracy. Okay? We live in a democracy. And that's the bottom line. Now give me 1 minute. So yes, last Saturday in Nassau was a travesty. I don't take lightly to people bullying me when I know my rights as a Bahamian citizen and disrupting a lawful assembly. The police officer who approached our national event, that was a lawful assembly, and he needs to be corrected. Now, I have our constitution here. We have a right to lawfully assembled. Gotta find it, because right now, some of these niggas, I call them niggas in the Bahamas, on the politics, think we are going to be bullied and be dealt with how they're trying to deal with us. We're not going to have it. And we're never going to back down, especially when we know our rights. I should have gotten the page organized, but let me just take my time. Let me just take my time. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Lawful assembly. Da, 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 da. I know I've read this so many times in this book. Protection from slavery and forced labor, protection from arbitrary harass and detention, provision to secure protection of the law, protection for privacy of home and other property, protection from freedom of conscience, protection of freedom of expression. That's it. On your constitutional booklet, which everybody should have this and a flag and show your patriotism in your country. And if you're outside your country, definitely you still do it. So here it is. Freedom of expression. Now, this is like if you were actually going to be protesting. But the night of in question on at the end of the month, on Saturday, that was a lawful assembly for a political third party to assemble together and to do a grand opening of their headquarters. So if you look in your book, you will see it under, I lost it again, freedom of expression. Page 23, protection of freedom of expression. So why don't we just read it? Seeing that the summer is hot and look like they like to use police to harass the COI political party whose voice is in the House of Assembly. They look like they like to try us, and we are never scared, and we will never back down. See page 23. Let me see. Protection of privacy of home, protection of freedom of conscience. Nobody can stop me from thinking. Okay, here it is. Protection of freedom of expression. Page 23. Okay. Protection of freedom of assembly and association. There you go. Protection of freedom of movement. These are all laws. And I strongly, from what I saw, the police was out of order. And what he did was out of order. And it needs to be dealt with. No one's supposed to be sending instructions to have a blockade or to stop anyone from a freedom of assembling that's lawful. And I have a problem with that. All right? It says here, let's read the protection of freedom of expression. Except with this consent, no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment. And listen here, and they on Iraqi enjoying themselves? Okay. Of the freedom of expression for the purposes of the article, the said freedom includes freedom to hold opinions, to receive and impare ideas and information without interference, and freedom from interference with his responses. Just how Donna Major came up there. She's not supposed to be hindered to just speak. She is heading to an event, which is a lawful event. 23:2 reads, nothing contained in or done under the authority of any law shall be held to be inconsistent with or in contravention of this article to the extent that the law in question makes provision. A, which is a reasonable requirement. I, in the ideas of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, and public health, or Roman numeral. Next, for the purpose of protecting the rights, the reputation, and freedoms of other persons, preventing the disclosure of information received in confidence, maintaining the authority and independence of the courts, or regulating telepathy, telegraph, post, wireless, broadcasting, television, public exhibition, or entertainment. B, which imposes restrictions upon persons holding office under the Crown. Well, we are third party. It is what it is. You might like it. Or upon members of a disciplined force, and expect so far as that provision, or, as the case may be, the thing done under the authority thereof is shown not to be reasonable, justable in a democratic society. Now, I'm just going to read it as is, okay? It's really boring, but it is what it is. This is the subheading for this is protection of freedom of expression. Now, that means the person could have been out there yelling and carrying on bad and jumping at his foot. That's their rights to do that. In our case, we had a lawful assembly. A lawful assembly, there no need for no police to come to do no blockade, because there was nobody was carrying on, nobody, and even if they were, it's their rights. All right? Number 23 reads, and I want to read them all because these are 3 subtitles, and it all is in protection of freedom of expression, protection of freedom of assembly and association, which we've been doing at the headquarters, our national headquarters, and the protection of movement. So you're trying to barricade a lawful assembly. We're part of the Crown, even though we're not interested in being a Crown, because our voices is in the House of Assembly. So Houston, we have a problem with the police, and we have a problem with who sent the order or the instructions. I feel like we're on some down back of the bush in the 60s. Instructions? So we might as well don't have this book in our purse. Forget it. Let everybody run over our flicking ass and call it a day. So let's read. The protection of freedom of assembly and association. Number 24:1. Except with his consent, no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom and peaceful assembly and association. We're both. We were peaceful, assembling in a lawful area. We shouldn't have been hindered because it was peacefully put together. Let me just read that again. Except with the consent, no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of a peaceful assembly and association. That is to say, his right to assemble freely and associate with others, and in particular to form or belong to a political party, or to form or belong to a trade union or other association for the protection of his interests. That's the one right there. That's protected under our Constitution, and no police should show up and say they have instructions to blockade nothing, because the COI was in its lawful right to assemble as an organization and under the Crown and under the British Crown in the House of Assembly. Okay, let's read on. So it says, here I, in the interest of defense public safety, public order, public morality, or public health. And let's read on too. For the purpose of protecting the rights and freedoms of the other persons, or B, with imposes restrictions upon persons holding office under the crown or under the member of a disciplined force. The COI, I know y'all don't want to get it. I understand. The COI is a member of the crown only because it's the only system we got right now. And for the fact that Mr. Hiram Lewis walked across the floor, we are now in opposition. And we should not take it lightly what they did during our national event of opening our building. Because, believe me, election coming. And if you think that's bad, they probably can bring the tankers out to stop us from even being a part of the election. And that's how bad it's going to get. So let me read on B. Okay, I want to read that again. B said, which imposes restrictions upon persons holding office under the crown or upon members of a disciplined force. And it reads on. And except so far as the provision or as the case may be, the thing done under the authority thereof is shown not to be reasonable, justifiable in a democratic society. Let me tell you all something. Okay, as far as I know, the COI only have Bahamians in it, okay? As far as I know, the COI is a political opposition in the House of Assembly. We have protection of freedom to assembly and to in any association and association. We have the right, even if we wasn't freaking COIs, we have the right for protection of freedom to expression. And no one should ever take that away from us. I don't care who the police think he is, taking instruction from whomever he took that instruction from. We have a problem, Houston. Protection of freedom of movement. So cars are moving up and down, and many might have been hindered from coming into the COI's groundbreaking historical event because they had a blockade. The police get instructions to have a blockade. And say they were coming out of the bush like from the dark ages. Like, is this some phantom Ku Klux Klan going on right now? That's what you're trying to say? Number 25 reads, protection of freedom of movement. And this is important for us to know our rights as Bahamians. Now, the Bahamians who were coming to the event and they got blocked, yeah, they called in, hey, the police have a blockade out here. We can't even get in. So what? They got to go park their cars across the road, Aoraki, and walk down Chipman Road? Is this what you're trying to do to an official political party under the crown in the Bahamas? It sounds like something Haitians will do. And I'm going to say it like that because I study the way they move. So let me just read on 25 and then, oh my gosh, 25 is pretty long. Yeah, 25 is pretty long, so I'm not going to read that, okay? It says the protection of freedom of movement. That's important because, and I'll only read 25 and 1 and leave it there. 25 and 1 reads, except with his consent, no person shall be hindered into the enjoyment of his freedoms. Okay, the freedoms of movements. And for the purposes of article, the said freedom means the right to move freely throughout the Bahamas and the right to reside in any part thereof, the right to enter the Bahamas. The right to leave the Bahamas, immunity from expulsion therefrom. All right, that's getting a little deep, but I'm not going to get into all of the fact that we have the rights for movement means that no one should have been hindered last Saturday by any blockades. No one should have been hindered. Okay? And that's the problem we're having. It was a lawful assembly done by an official opposition in the House of Assembly. So what? So we're saying that the police was given instructions to do a blockade, stop people from actually coming in and enjoying themselves at a lawful assembly. That's enough to kick up dust and shut Nassau down. This is where we are in the Bahamas, Bahamians, and it's so sad. You know, everybody, when they hear the word the Bahamas, they're like, oh, the Bahamas is so beautiful. It's a gorgeous place. I'm like, it's a shithole. And I'm going to be real. Our education is a shithole. We're producing non-productive human beings in the Bahamas who have a low-grade education. I hear they complain a lot in the United States about how education is the worst. So you could imagine if they think their education is worse, what you think about us? And what you think about us under this present career criminal government that we got? Who think they're gangsters and they could use the police force, and there is a law against that. Using the police to agitate law-abiding citizen is another act of wrongdoing against the Bahamian people. Hence, we got a problem, Houston. So I want to come on and talk about returning Bahamians. Yes, I was speaking about the illegal migration issue. I spoke from the fact that Haiti's problem has escalated so bad, that even the new president, who was elected in 2 terms now, the 45th president and now the 47th president of the United States. This Friday is like everything's happening. Like this Saturday, we had our national headquarters opening, which was a historical moment. Friday of last week, the President of the United States said that over 500,000 Haitians must vacate and go back to their country. They must use the apps to repatriate. They will pay them $1,000. Do you know how much is 500,000 times $100? I mean, sorry, $1,000? Do the calculation. President Trump said that Haiti must return back to its country of origin. He didn't say they have to come to the Bahamas. He said they must return to Haiti. 500,000. They will be given $1,000 repatriation fee to go back, and they must use the apps. Do the math. They must return because their country is no longer under the heightened threat it was when Juvenile Music was assassinated. So y'all go and fix it. Go and fix it, brave. Go back to your country of origin, because like you said, you're a Haitian living in the Bahamas, really. That's what you said. And now you could go back home. Unfortunately, you can't get Henry Ariel to return because he ran to the DR because the people said, that's it. Y'all go back to that country and have a real election. United States say, we don't want y'all. In the Bahamas, y'all come assert yourself ahead of us and think we're going to sit back and allow it. You see how the trickling down effect is happening? So we're standing guard to our country and saying that this is the Bahamas. The Bahamas belong to Bahamians. Yes, we have many different nationalities in, but when you try to rise up amongst us and rise up to take over us, we have a problem. Trump isn't going to allow it. And I've done the research where Haiti was exiled or isolated for 58 years, economically, financially, the same as economically, and diplomatically. The people say, no, we can't have no country coming to overthrow America. They said they cut y'all off for 58 years. Yes, y'all suffer for that, but not at the hands of the outsiders. It was the hands of the leaders of the country of Haiti, which must be held responsible for its people plummeting. And we're not going to allow Haitians to come to the Bahamas and cause the Bahamas to plummet. The tourists come in, they don't even know what they're talking about. The tourists came for freaking English-speaking citizens and businesses. They did not go to Spain where they speak Spanish. They did not go to the DR where they speak Spanish. They came to the Bahamas. We are still a Bahamian-speaking language country. If all of these people who are using their position in the Bahamas to cover person who, not inadvertently, who deliberately break our laws and shit on us and tell us, we don't give a crap. We here to stay and we ain't going nowhere. And it's more us than you. And the Colombian necktie threat. And boycott, boycott, boycott. Oh, y'all thought we was going to sit back and just take that. We tell y'all to come and purge yourself. This election may not be a snap election like that failed prime minister under the FNL. Failed party did call a snap election. So we could get an incompetent, treasonous government that continually and will not apologize for all the abuse that happened to Bahamians. You're going to sit back and allow them to come in and infiltrate our country? And now they're coming in on Bahamas here. Now they don't come on and come here now, come on the boat and we're here to stay. They come on Bahamas here and assume names. That's not even on our register. And we can sit back and allow that. Think again. Under the COI government, yes, we're going to be fair. But you cannot be fair when you break the law. It isn't about the motion. It's not about the motion, but being fair. It's about, okay, you break the law. You, your children, and their children must be relocated. There has to be some form of punishment to send a message right up to those who keep coming to our country and going into their shanty villages for rental. They ain't going into no hotels. And we must just sit back and say, okay, so for the last, 20 years, the taxpayers came directly from Bahamians and residents who are actually participating productively in our society. And there's like, the scale will never get balanced if we have to sort this out now. The scale will never get balanced if we walk in, we feel so sorry for those Haitians because, their country is such as a problem. Well, according to Donald Trump, I'm sorry, but America first. Haitians, 500,000 of you, you must leave by September. Skit, scram, go. Get your $1,000 repatriation fee back to wherever you came from. But don't think you can come and saturate the Bahamas with that because we are going to be waiting. And Haiti, please, I'm telling you, go have your election. You had 3 failed attempts of having a real election since 2021. It's 3 years later. The government of the Bahamas, you have failed us miserably because you had decades to build the finest schools we could have had to educate our children, but you did not, and they had to leave. And then now those children today are returning to the Bahamas with a plan, at least for the education department. I am sure they got more plans in different areas for our government. And for those Bahamians who have returned, either you came on vacation or you came to to help in the last general election, the last by-election in May of last year when we had a by-election, and you saw with your eyes, you who left us for over 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, you came back, and you came back to the capital, and then you came and you visit. Through your visiting, you took part in helping in our elections, and you saw with your eyes how backwards we are in the Bahamas. It's horrible. And no real Bahamian who love their country should be able to friggin' sleep. You all know it's bad. And we cannot continue this. We have to fire the government who cannot build one friggin' hospital in Grand Bahama. The airport ain't completed. The hotel ain't sold. And if it's sold, where's the tourists coming in? Freeport look dead. The money keeps circulating until it's not even trickling down to nowhere. Grand Bahama alone, that's what I'm talking to, Grand Bahama. It ain't no trial and error to say, oh, well, let's swing over to the other party because the PLP look like they done lost their friggin' mind. It ain't that kind of time this time. We have to nail this time. We have to gain the confidence of the Bahamian people. We have to bring the laws back in place to put the fear in criminals who have made it a career and use even our system to infiltrate. Did you see recently the guns? I'm not talking about no little trinket guns. Look, they come from the down 60s and you got a chick, 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 chick. I talk about semi-automatic guns. Thousands, bullets, drugs. They was coming to what? They coming to bomb us? Just on the news. This thing is for real. You think we have time to deal with these career politicians thinking that they could distract us on what's right and what's wrong? The Bahamians who are standing up now have the law, constitutional law. This is our arm. As much as we may try to be evasive and don't use it, this is what we stand against, and the fact that we believe in God. Yeah. So, today is our Bahamian Flag Day. In 9 days will be our 53rd Bahamian Independence celebration. On Saturday, a third party has made history again and opened up state-of-the-art national headquarters in Nassau. And that's enough to make me smile. That's enough to make me smile. I'm proud to be a Bahamian. I'm proud to be at this time in history where I know, and thousands of Bahamians under the COI stand up. We stood up. We're standing up. And we're not letting this one go. Because we know we can do it. And we know we can govern the country in fairness. But some of the dark forces have to go and some of the dark forces have to pay. And that's all I'm going to say on that one. So that's it, guys. I hope you help me share this live feed. That's it. I'm going to chime out. I want to say congratulations again to the national headquarters, the opening of the COI's national headquarters in Chippingham, not too far from West Bay Street. Ideal building. It's draped with our Bahamian colors. So I want to say happy Bahamian Flag Day. You take care. Au revoir.